What's up, guys? My name is Aaron Smith. Got TJ Gausman here with me, and we are friends first, but we're also real estate agents that strategize a lot together. And we got into a conversation the other day about brokerages and kind of what we've gone through, just kind of finding where we are. But I feel like it's a taboo conversation, right? It's kind of weird. So we're going to break it apart today. We're going to give you some of our thoughts on brokerages and just how we want agents to think stronger as business people. So let's open it up, talk about just the weirdness of broker, how do you choose a broker and how it's different from the corporate environment.
Yeah, I think a big piece that why don't people talk about this is a big piece. And I think we've been trained that it's disloyal to talk about or to other brokers.
Yep.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because, there's this, I play for my team. You get your jersey on and you want to be loyal to your team. And there's no doubt that every broker is going to do something for you. They're going to create good feelings somehow, whether it's through their training, whether it's through just the broker helped you through a deal. There's this thank you of loyalty that you pay to your brokerage. But, even back it up, to the very beginning, it's like when you first get into real estate, it's unlike any other job interview that you've ever gone on because who's interviewing who?
Right.
It's like, and you don't know the questions to ask of your broker. You're new to the business. Somebody told you to check this out, or you went and looked at a brand. Maybe you were familiar with a brokerage in town and you went and checked them out and they made you feel like a king. Rolled out the red carpet for you and you're like, hold on a second. Am I interviewing you or are you interviewing me? This was the easiest job interview I've ever been on because you hired me as an agent right out of the gate.
You got it.
So that's the weird part is that, and that's what we're talking about today because a lot of agents feel like they work for the broker.
Yeah.
When in reality, that broker is there to serve you as the agent.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if you notice, the broker does a great job at the beginning. They sell you a phenomenal bill of goods, right? We've got trainings, great people, you'll have a mentor, and then oftentimes you get into the model and you're all alone. And here's the issue. They've got you because you don't want to be a broker jumper, right? They've got you usually for at least a year. And this is another problem. It's like you feel handcuffed even when you're not. It's a very weird real estate specific thing.
Yeah, and when you're an agent, you're in the 10 million plus club. That's about where I am in my business now too. And when you have this head of steam, you've got clients and you've got the skills and you've got all this stuff, you're kind of settled. You're settled in your business. You're kind of, you know how to prospect for leads.
Right.
You know how to serve clients and set expectations and write contracts and negotiate. You've got this going. So to actually look up and think am I at the right place? Nobody ever has that thought until something happens. They see something shiny over there. They see another brokerage that they like. They like something that they're doing with their tech. But it's weird, right? Because you don't want to get into that. It's a hard conversation to have with a company because, let's say that you play for the New York Yankees. Well, the Yankees can trade you at any time.
Right.
Your broker's not going to kick you out unless you do something stupid.
Yeah.
So it's just this weird dynamic in real estate, and it's almost like you feel dirty talking to another broker.
Exactly.
And it shouldn't be like that.
I 100% agree. And here's one thing that I think is super important. Number one, no one can make you do anything you don't want to do. Okay, and I would argue that people that are in general, in life, that are curious are more successful than those that aren't. I believe that. And curious people are always looking for opportunity. And oftentimes, you and I, we hear opportunities all the time that we say, sounds cool, not for me. Completely cool.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be this taboo thing I don't even want to hear about it.
Yeah, and I think what you're talking about there is if you think about the person that you know that is so set in their ways, they're just tunnel vision, set in their ways. They're not curious about a lot of stuff. They're just driving down the road.
Yep.
How many opportunities are they missing?
So many.
And at the pace that the real estate world has changed just in the last 5 years, forget about the last 10, just in the last 5 years, so many brokerages have changed what they offer agents, how they communicate with their agents, how they pay their agents. And then I remember, with Keller Williams when I was there, when Keller Williams offered a capped commission structure, it was unheard of. It disrupted the entire market. And look at the world today. There's so many brokerages offering cap commission structures. And then you get into things like they start offering things to help grow the brokerage. Okay, that's great, but in order to grow the brokerage, I have to believe in it.
You got it.
You know, so let's do this. Let's unbox some of the different, call them models of real estate brokerages out there.
Yeah.
Right. And you've got it's a spectrum of different models.
Yeah.
Right. You've got your old fashioned models, and then you've got your trying to be progressive, and then you've got your really like wild out of the box, newfangled models. So let's break those apart.
Okay. I want to start with old school, traditional, old-fashioned model.
Let's throw it back. Let's turn back the clock a little bit. So, you know, let's talk about the old way things were done, the old-fashioned model.
Yeah.
Right. So what would that look like if I walk into a brokerage and we would consider it an old-fashioned model?
Yeah. So this is your dad's real estate company, right? Like, so they have,
Grandpa used them.
You've got it. Yeah. There's a brand. The brand usually has some loyalty to it. It's been around a long time. They have a building. You have an office in said building. Now, some of the benefits of that kind of model is going to be that you don't have to do a lot. They're going to have people that are going to help you with contracts. They're going to manage your transaction. Some of them can help you with marketing, but it's iffy at best. But bottom line is, the goal is, hey, you come work for us. We'll do half the work. You give us half the money.
Yep.
And we can get like super detailed into how that looks.
Yeah, and I mean, the way I look at that old-fashioned model, like if you break into the things that agents look for today, it is support, tools, and leads, right?
Yeah, probably not in that order.
Not in that order, right?
Yeah.
But like if there's things that agents are looking for, and so if I look at that traditional, that old-fashioned model, the support, your broker was right there in the office with you.
Yeah.
You know, the tools that you got, you know, back in the day, you know, you get your MLS book until the internet comes out.
Yep.
But the leads, a lot of times, what the brokers, up until recently, a lot of these old-fashioned brokers they had the office number on the phone, on the sign.
Right.
You know, so if a buyer calls that yard sign, you went out there and got the listing. You created the relationship with the people, you got the listing. The broker's office number is on the sign. They call the front desk. Well, who answers the phone at the front desk, TJ? Another agent who got call duty that day, right? And there's a few brokerages in town here in Cincinnati that they were operating that way until about 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were forced to change.
Yeah.
And I feel like the traditional old-fashioned brokerage, they change because they have to, not because it's the right thing to do.
100%. Yeah, and I will say, like, there are agents that need that model. Like, there's still a place for a subset of agents that need that model.
Right. Broker dependent.
Yes, and these are not, frankly, agents that I would want to be in business with, just because that's not. I run with people like me.
Yep.
Those people aren't like me. But I think if you're a part-time agent, maybe you're doing 5-6 deals a year, you don't have aspirations to do more, maybe.
Yeah, and financially with that old-fashioned broker, your split is not going to be as favorable as a more a newer model or a newer platform. So, you know, usually with those old-fashioned brokers, you're going to have a 50-50 split.
I'd say 50 to 70 no cap.
Yeah, 50 to 70 with no cap. You might have like this tiered structure of some kind, and their strategy behind that is they're going to give you they're going to give you the signs, they're going to give you a website. There's no monthly fee to pay. But you're giving away, if you earn a commission of $5,000, they're taking $2,500 of it. And you didn't pay for your yard sign, but you paid for your yard sign, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Nothing's free.
Right.
We always say this because we hear a lot of agents, 100% commission brokerage. Like, nothing's free. It's just about where's it coming from.
Right. They've got to stay in business somehow.
Right. And we do not need to guess where the old-fashioned models, where that money comes from.
Right. Yeah, it's very apparent.
Correct.
You know, so like if we take the old-fashioned model and break it down, it's very corporate. It's very, I work for the broker supports me. I give the broker a lot of my money, but I only have to pay that broker when I close the deal.
Yep.
Usually.
Yes.
Right.
Correct. Yep.
They've got pins. They've got coffee mugs. They've got folders with their brand on it.
Yep.
And it is very broker branded.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
No matter what color the sign is, it's very broker branded.
100%.
But if we kind of look at how technology changed the real estate world and how real estate brokerages started to modify their structure, you end up with companies that, like a Keller Williams,
Yeah.
1980s, started, and then it really took off in the early 2000s. And then I think, it's still probably one of the largest brokerages in the world.
Yes.
So let's break that apart. Like, what did they do different from your old-fashioned brokerage?
Okay, so I think the number one piece is Keller Williams had a visionary in
Yes.
Gary Keller.
Yep.
That saw the world differently.
Love them.
Yeah, me too. And I've always thought that he was incredibly sharp, and we can all, no matter where we are in our business or brokerage, be grateful that Gary Keller was willing to do things differently. And I'm sure he was not well liked by the establishment when he did that. Is that fair?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm convinced that without Gary Keller's vision, there would be no of the futuristic brokers.
Agreed.
The platforms
100%.
that exist today, because he thought differently enough to change the entire game. He put pressure on all the old-fashioned models.
Yeah.
So if you look at that, let's talk about that early onset of change.
Yeah.
Like, what did he change about the brokerage model?
Yeah, I think he was the first one that realized the agent is the most important piece. Gary was an agent himself, and I think he realized, like, hey, if agents can have some version of ownership in what we're doing, right? And if agents have a cap on their commission, which means, just very basic, once you give us X amount of money for the year, you don't have to give us any more. Okay, that was a big deal. So when these other brokerages are collecting $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 from their top producer, maybe at Keller Williams they might be taking in $35,000.
Yeah, and that agent just gave themselves $100,000 or $200,000 a year pay raise.
Yes.
That was a big game changer.
Yes.
And it shook up other old-fashioned brokerages. I don't want to pick on any brokerages, but it shook up a lot of the national and local brokerages, and they were getting depleted.
Oh, I can only
because the agents who were producing were like, that's a lot of money to be leaving on the table.
And the other thing that Keller Williams I think can be credited for is the value and then the huge part that teams came into the industry.
Yeah,
with
so
people having real estate teams.
So Gary Keller said, okay, the agent's at the center of the model. The agent is the most important thing. So let's build the agent. And the way he did that is said, okay, you need to put your brand in front of your people. Keller Williams is here to support you. Now, in states and legalities say that the broker and the agent have to have equal prominence, or the broker has to be greater prominence. But it hadn't been popular at that point to have the agent's face, name, phone number on the sign. And now the agent is front and center. Now the broker's name has to be on the sign too, but agents saw that as their chance to be entrepreneurial, to change out of that corporate mindset to a business owner mindset. And Gary Keller he promoted that. He's like, you are business owners. And that's one of the things that made him a thought leader and one of the most respected people in real estate.
Yeah. And the other thing, just to see how fast Keller Williams was able to grow. I mean, this is a company that started in Texas that grew to 190,000 real estate agents. Mm-hmm. And what that told the industry was, like, agents have been craving this. And I think there was a time when no one thought anybody could do it better.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they really thought this is as revolutionary as this market and industry can get. And we're going to talk about the new section that we're in now, and I would argue that we've seen some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and just to kind of cap that little piece off there is that what Gary Keller did is he said, you know what, we're not going to be a corporate conglomerate. I'm going to sell franchises to local people who are in the market, who are influential among agents. They're there to support. They have the right values and vision to help these agents succeed. So he sold regions and then further sold franchises. Now, we'll get into the platforms that are here today. Yeah. But when you have franchises with brick and mortar and you have local staff, it creates expenses, right? So these local business owners, they pay Keller Williams to operate the franchise, but they take the brunt of the expenses.
Yes.
So with that, I'll just put a period at the end of that.
Yeah.
And now we'll talk about where are the new platforms, like what, so Gary Keller brought about this capped commission structure. He brought about something we haven't even talked about, his profit sharing change that he brought to the industry. But with profit sharing comes the local franchises have to be profitable to share profit.
Correct, right? Yeah. But the cool thing was he gave agents a benefit to bring other agents into the company.
Yeah, he saw that if I create something awesome agents will tell other agents about it, and they'll see that this platform, this marketing, this model works, and like it doesn't cost the agent anything to tell a friend that they've got a great brokerage, right?
Exactly.
So, and that's kind of like where we're headed here is, so if Gary Keller hadn't created those changes in the market, then you have what's these new brokerages, right?
Yeah.
That you have a lot of local smaller brokerages creating something like this, but on a bigger scale. eXp 2009 came out. Like they started in 2009, and there would be no eXp without Keller Williams.
100%.
Without a doubt. Glenn Sanford, also a visionary, saw an opportunity to really turn up the volume on what Gary Keller already did.
Yeah.
I think Gary Keller even puts it in his book that if I can accomplish big feats, it's no doubt that I've stood on the shoulders of giants. Well, if Gary Keller wasn't there, Glenn Sanford wouldn't have done what he did.
Yeah, and if there's any team leaders out there watching, this is when you bring a team member on, they're new, and they turn out to be an absolute killer and eventually go and they start their own team. Like, that is something to be proud of. It's something to appreciate and also give yourself a pat on the back because you're a part of that story.
Right. And whether it's Keller Williams profit share or another platform's revenue share, if you help that agent succeed, it's only going to pay dividends for you, whether they're on your team or whether they move on and start their own thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So these new models,
Yeah.
right? So eXp comes on the scene, and then like it seems like there's a new one popping up all the time.
Absolutely.
So what's eXp doing differently? What did they change when it comes to, we went from the old-fashioned model to, oh my God, there's a disruptor in the market, Keller Williams.
Yeah.
And then now we've got this new stuff. What's changed between that middle ground to now?
Yeah, and I would say, we can go crazy, but two things.
Okay, let's keep it simple.
Let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
They got rid of the offices and said, we are a cloud brokerage. Okay, and the cloud's a weird word because some people are very comfortable. Let's say virtual, let's say internet-based, meaning that we are all together, but we're not physically together unless we want to be. Now, some people say like, oh, that sounds crazy, and it did. But what we found, especially like Aaron and I both worked out of offices, we'd have 300 agents and 10 to 20 of them use the office.
Right.
Which tells us somewhere around 3 to 10% of agents care about an office. So eXp says, well, why don't we focus on the other 90% of agents who don't care about an office? They can save a ton of money. And then the next piece, and this is probably the most valuable, they made it us and you. And what I mean by that is you have eXp, you have agent, and they don't have anyone in between.
Yeah.
That's the big difference.
Yeah,
right?
that's huge because, okay, so when you take, you're kind of going to that 3-lane highway kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So, you enter the real estate world, you are a salesperson. You can stay in that lane as long as you want to, but when you're with a brokerage that has, okay, I've got an office, I have a region, and I have a corporate, right? So it's just there's this separation between the upper level, the upper leaders, and then it just kind of works its way all down, and it kind of makes your leaders kind of small, right? They're here in the market, and if I want to talk to somebody out in a different market on, hey, what are you doing to grow your team from 20 million to 40 million? There's that disconnect, right? You got to, there's regions and there's stuff all over the place. It's not as easy to kind of get to that.
Yeah.
But eXp basically said, we're going to be your corporate. We've decentralized management. There's no longer a broker in your specific street, in your specific zip code. Our brokers are now statewide, and those state brokers kind of watch their nest, right? They're taking care of their agents, making sure they get what they get. And then all the accounting department, all that, they're taking care of all 88,000 real estate agents with eXp. They don't have to sit in an office where they're paying $20,000 a month in rent.
Right.
They don't have to keep the lights on, and eXp can have that person serve a larger group of people in the specific role that they're in.
Yeah. And the other thing that this has allowed is, and this is something that we don't talk about a lot, but culture comes up. We talk about culture, and this is a big buzzword, I would say, especially for those that are not pro eXp. We have culture. What this allowed by decentralizing everything, it gave you organic culture because area leaders, that's not like a title here, right? At eXp, like you're an area leader because that's who you are. and people follow you. So like we have a culture that is created organically as opposed to, hey Aaron, you're the production leader of the office, so you're going to be the ones that talks to the new agent. Like if you think about it, like it was a bit insincere.
Right.
And now it feels like real. The people that want to get involved do. The people that want to be out on their own, totally cool.
You know, the thing that I enjoy about going to a cloud-based thing is I remember when I would go into the office and there were no, like when you walk into the office, there's these water cooler conversations, these talking about stuff that doesn't really drive me toward my goal. My goal is to sell more houses, golf more, feed my family, enjoy some vacations. And when I'm talking to somebody else about how their deal's imploding, like I might learn something, but then there's all this, I'm wasting time. None of the people in my real estate office are going to buy a house with me. Now I might do a deal with them if I have a buyer for one of their listings.
100%.
But no, I'm not moving the needle forward by standing around my office eating whatever Jersey Mike sandwich that got brought into that office meeting today.
Yep.
So there are people who crave and they need that place to go to. And I do believe that there will be brokers for a long time who have an office because they need a place to go and be with people to work.
Yeah.
Right. But I think your entrepreneur, your driver, the person who is focused is somebody who doesn't need that as much. If they have a at-home printer, and everything's gone digital now anyway, the contracts are digital, so you don't really need that copy machine as much.
And where we took it is like, I feel like for my team, we do need to be together. And it's not for, it's really just for culture, for communication, so we're tied together. The question was, do we have to be surrounded by other people that are doing our job? And the argument is no. So, we work at a co-working space where we're surrounded by other entrepreneurs, which is so cool. Like I get
prospects.
business. Yes, these are
referral
people.
partners.
It's fun. We get to do events there. Like
You're the mayor of real estate in that co-working space.
that's what I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me. The other way did not make sense to me. It infuriated me actually.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of politics. It's just normal office stuff. This is not a real estate issue.
Right.
This is a freaking corporate America issue.
And then, so then you get into, the differences in these models, right? So Keller Williams and most of the brokerages up until a certain point were brick and mortar. And, I think where eXp really took off with growth was when COVID hit in 2020.
Yep.
And people were like, well, I realized I didn't really need an office, and that was the thing that was holding me there. They realized that they were better off working and staying focused than to get distracted by going into an office, if that's what they did.
Yeah.
So that's where people realize like, oh, like I'm kind of using my old-fashioned brokerage as a cloud-based anyway. And then they started to look into other things that might be good, capped commission structures and things like that. So right now, I would say if we're just going to name a bunch of platforms, right, that are on the new brokerage style, eXp came first on the cloud brokerage for the most part. It's the largest, earliest cloud brokerage. And then you had what? Real,
Fathom,
Epic,
LPT.
Is Compass a cloud-based?
Traditional.
It's traditional. Okay.
Yeah.
So that and all the while this is happening, there's some other brokerages that they're paying a signing bonus and a non-compete for agents to leave their broker and come over.
Yeah, and I don't know how market specific that is. I know there's some big companies nationally that do this. We've even had, we're in Cincinnati market. It's pretty common here that signing bonuses. Now, the question is it a signing bonus or is it a draw? Because I think you could make an argument that they're just giving you the money and they're going to take it back through split.
Yeah, so like if you're at a capped commission structure company and you take a signing bonus and you sign a 3-year non-compete, what you need to do as an agent, as a business owner, and the CEO of your own business is you need to say, okay, what's my gross commission income over the course of a year? And maybe even look at the last 3 years, right? So you look at your gross commission income and you say, okay, well, here's how much I'm making, and I'm just going to subtract my cap out at my last brokerage or at another competing brokerage that I might go to, right? So let's just say that your cap, I'm just going to throw out a wild number and just say 20,000, right? So I'm making this much, I'm going to take the $20,000 out for the cap. That was my fee, right? I sold enough real estate to pay the cap, and that's what it cost me. Well, when you go to a brokerage that's paying you a signing bonus, and let's say that they put you on an 80-20 split. Well, what's 20% of your gross commission income uncapped? You'll never cap that out, right? So, okay, what does that cost me? And then now I have to be there for 3 years. I did this exercise with an agent who took the signing bonus, and it turns out they gave back 3 times more than what they got paid for their signing bonus.
Of course.
And I think it was out of immediate need.
Of course. Desperation.
Desperation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I called it immediate need, but yeah, desperation.
Yeah.
They were in a panic and they needed their hands on some cash, and they said, well, that'll solve my problem today. But when you scratch that over 3 years, they paid it's a long-term loan. It's a 3-year loan essentially, and you're paying it back with a heavy amount of interest.
Well, and look at it this way, and this isn't to throw shade at other brokers.
Right. We're just talking about the different models and what brokerages
But I'm going to
do.
throw a little bit of shade because
I love it.
let's say that you were having financial problems.
Yep.
And you came to me and said, hey, TJ, I'm in a bind, right? I need some help. And that's where these conversations start. I'm having money trouble. Okay, that's why they.
And usually you can tell that they're having money trouble before they tell you.
Of course.
Like it smells.
Of course.
Agents can't pay their MLS dues or something's going on.
So I say, hey, Aaron, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you $50,000. And then for the next 3 years, you're going to be indebted to me, and you're going to pay me $150,000. Sound friendly?
I don't like that deal.
Of course not. Not only do you not like it, it's predatory, and it's not friend. This is supposed to be a partner, and it's a scumbag thing to do.
It is, because I think they're tapping into people's, I'm not faulting anybody for taking that deal, right? Somebody slides a check in front of you, like you made a decision for yourself. I've seen a lot of agents regret it, and I've seen some agents who stayed at that brokerage because it was comfortable. They had kind of planted roots there, and that's fine. But the reason I bring that up is that when a brokerage has to cut a check to you to leave your current broker, are you leaving because of that check, or are you leaving because that's the best business partner for you to grow as an agent, to grow as a business person? And I would say that I'll throw it out there. I think anybody who takes that deal lacks vision. They don't trust themselves, they don't believe in themselves, and they lack vision, because if you only take it for the money and you don't believe that brokerage is the best for you, you took the easy way out.
Yeah, but I will say fear is a hell of a drug.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Fear will have you do some stupid things.
When you're in a panic and you're in a money bind, you will, you'll do some weird stuff.
You know what you won't do? You won't lead generate. You won't show up to the office early and get out of your hole in 3 months, which we can all do.
And I would bet you, because I know who you are, and I know I know the style of person that you are. If somebody was in money trouble and said, TJ, can I come work with you at your office and get you to help me build my business so that I don't have to be in this money trouble anymore, you would invite them in and you would be there to help them every step of the way.
100%.
And you would not charge them a dime.
No, I offer free coaching to people and nobody takes it.
Right.
People don't want to do it.
You know why? Because this is hard work.
Right.
Like what you do as a real estate agent is not easy, and that's why there's a failure rate of 85 to 90% in the first year or two.
Yeah.
So, we kind of got off on that for a second because that was a big deal for a while. But then you look at these platform brokerages, these newer brokerages, what are they doing differently? Obviously the cloud-based thing, they get rid of the brick and mortar and you stay more focused on selling real estate instead of going to an office meeting and eating free cookies. But what else are the new brokerages doing?
Yeah, so I think eXp had this pretty amazing idea. They create a rev share. Now, you'll hear these buzzwords. Profit share is what Keller Williams did. Hey, once we have our profit figured out per office, you'll get a piece of whatever's left over if you bring someone to that particular office. The only problem was you had no control over the profit.
Yep.
Right? So eXp does what's called rev share, where we actually share from the top level revenue. We don't care about profit. If we make $4,000, we're going to give you a piece of that. Okay, and then we'll deal with all the accounting on the back end, but that's not going to take your piece. So that was one big piece. And these other models now, what they're doing is we're getting into very little detailed changes.
Small, little minute stuff.
Yeah, so hey, you don't want to pay $16,000, our cap's only $12,000. Like now where we used to be talking about hundreds of thousands, now we're talking about $1,000 a quarter.
Right.
And these are not decision-making amounts of money in my experience.
Right. So with that said, like the model, like there will be another evolution of some sort of real estate shakeup change, right? But right now what we've got is we've got these newer cloud-based brokerages that are talking, they're all competing on how good their revenue share is. They're talking about their stock, they're talking about all these things. But now when you have that spread, you've got Epic, Real, eXp, Fathom, LPT, you've got these brokerages that are on these new models. Now's the time to really start knowing how to evaluate a brokerage and what it can do for you. Like, what are your opportunities there? What we're talking about revenue share and profit share. Less than 12% of agents have any sort of profit share or revenue share at any of the profit sharing or revenue sharing brokerages. That tends to be the number.
Yeah.
So, take that off the table for a second, right?
Yeah.
That is a benefit if you choose to do it and focus on it. And most agents don't.
Correct.
Based on the stats and the numbers. So now, what is this brokerage going to do? Who am I going to be connected with? Who am I going to be following? Who's going to be my leader? Do I have enough leadership there? Do I have agents at this brokerage who are willing to share and show me what they did to get to this point? Right?
Yeah.
Market share. Do I have that? So that is when you get into splitting hairs on, this cap is $4,000 less. It's like, okay, if you're really producing and hitting caps, is $4,000 going to change your opinion? No, the brokerage that you're going with, right?
Yeah. And I would even argue to take that a step further. Like, whilst the stock is cool, I don't know if that even on its own is going to be decision-making material.
Yeah, it's forced savings. I mean, eXp has
Yeah.
their equity program where they take a piece of my check every single time.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, if I need to go buy something like that is kind of off the radar, it's like, hey, I got some extra money set aside. I can do that. And it didn't cost me a thing. It was already my money. It grew or it didn't, whatever. And it's there for me to use, but it's kind of an afterthought. It's forced savings.
Yeah, and I will say the cool thing about eXp, it's a publicly traded company, whereas there's multiple of these other companies like LPT, not Real. Real is a stock, a legitimate publicly traded company, but LPT, Epic, these companies aren't public yet, but they're stock is the big sell because the thought is if I can just get in early like eXp. But I would say first to market is such a big piece of this puzzle, and I hope people aren't banking on that.
Yeah, and if you're an agent and if you follow crypto at all, right? So who was first to market in crypto? Bitcoin, first to market. And you've got all of these other coins that have followed. Well, as the evolution of cryptocurrency goes, like I'm guessing that the larger, higher market higher market cap coins might start to gobble these things up, and then they'll consolidate them into a more usable mainstream coin. It's still early, right? So if you look at the brokerage models, you've got eXp was first to market, and then you've got all the others that we mentioned that haven't grown as much because they weren't first on the scene.
Yeah.
And because eXp grew as fast as they did, they've got size, they've got mass and gravity now where you've got all of these tools, you've got all of these influencers, you've got trainers, you've got all this. It's already built out.
Yeah.
It was built out years before anybody else got to it. We just grew faster.
Yeah.
Right?
And our people, I mean, if we're just looking agent to agent, like nationally, our agents are insanely talented.
Yes.
I mean, we have just monster teams that, and that's the cool thing, right? Because I can call anybody in our company and have a conversation with them, and we are financially connected because of the model. And I think that, for me, now that I'm a pretty successful real estate guy, that's what excites me.
Yeah. And it's being connected to that network of success and productivity.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can feel like a big fish sometimes, and I'm not at all. But in Cincinnati, I do pretty well.
Yeah.
But you take me to L.A., I'm mid.
I bet with a little time you could hold your own. But as we evaluate brokerages, right, and just kind of as an agent, you're a CEO, you're making a business decision. My advice would be do an annual audit after the first of the year, or maybe even October when you're doing your business planning, September, October, November. Look and see, okay, if I did what I did this year with another brokerage financially, what would that have looked like? If you're at an old-fashioned brokerage and you haven't looked up in 10 years to decide, am I at the right place? Look at the numbers. That financially, does it make sense? And then look and see, what is my broker actually providing me? Pins, folders, and signs. If you're a successful agent, that is relatively small potatoes. You're gonna buy a sign. You're gonna buy a set of signs. It's gonna last you years.
Yeah.
Right. It's not gonna take 50% of your money to buy that.
Right.
You look at financially. You look at business partner wise. Are they forward thinking enough to keep up with the trends that the market deserves today? Buyers and sellers are immediate gratification. Your marketing has to look clean, and they want to work with you. They're not going to know who your broker is. They're not going to know, the XYZ broker, old-fashioned model, is not going to walk in and sit down with them at their kitchen table. They care about you, the agent, not the big brand. So are you branding yourself so that people talk about you, or are you branding your broker so people call the brokerage?
Yeah. And I also think another thing, if I was talking to an agent, if you've been in the business for 1 year, 1 month, or 10 years, the simple question, in my opinion, when I'm looking at brokerages, is who can help me double my business? I don't care if you're doing $1 million or you're doing 20 million. And that's where I want to be. I was able to do that, from going from one to another. And it was because I was with the right people. Brokerages will not double your business. The people at the brokerages absolutely can.
There's no greater determiner of your success than your environment.
100%.
And, I would argue that if an agent is trying to grow, that should be first and foremost. Yeah, if financials are cool, you can compare brokerages on financials, but it's like, if you believe in yourself and you trust yourself to dig in and put in the work, it should be about which environment should I place myself in where I'm going to succeed.
Yeah.
And, like we talk about the decentralization, the lack of brick and mortar. Man, we meet once a month as a company here in Cincinnati. Any eXp agent can come to it. We do a monthly or a weekly call where we get on there and mastermind about stuff that is relevant to today's market. We talk about scripts to use for buyers and sellers who are having trouble understanding the market trends right now. We talk about all this AI and social media. We talk about how to use it in your business to save time. We talk about how to use it you were talking earlier about how, you've got this tough situation between, buyers and sellers. And it's like, well, hey, help me understand this.
Yeah.
I learned that from you.
Yeah.
And we've got several other people who have chipped in on that. But I think that environment piece is the biggest. And as a new agent getting into the business, you have no idea what that even means.
Right.
So you're going to select a brokerage based on the information you have.
Yeah.
And then you're going to hopefully every year evaluate, am I still with the best business partner? Because the brokerage doesn't hire you, you hire the brokerage.
Yeah, and I would even say, we have a tendency to interview the broker, which is dumb. We should interview the top agents.
Yeah.
Are you willing to help me? Are you willing to sit down with me? If they give you the cold shoulder before you're there, wait until what they do once you're there.
Well, and here's a question for anybody who is getting started fresh into real estate, or you're in year 1 or year 2. I would, if I'm interviewing brokers as a brand new agent, I'm going to ask whoever the recruiting person is that I'm sitting down with at that brokerage, can you tell me how many agents were brand new with your company that started within the last 12 months and how many are still here? And can I have a few of them to talk to?
Great.
I want to see how they're doing. Have they succeeded? Do they like their mentorship? Do they like the environment that they're working in? Because I want to know.
Yeah.
And if I don't think to ask that question, I'm just jumping in blind.
Yep.
No testimonials. I'm just trusting whatever the recruiter's telling me. And I'm telling you, they're going to try to paint the prettiest, rosiest picture of their brokerage, no matter what brokerage they're with.
Yeah, that's their job.
Yeah. And it's that woo, right?
Right.
They want to grow. They want to be with you. But if we were to just kind of sum up the whole brokerage conversation here, you and I kind of talk about the different things that you get at different brokerages. Yes, there's commission splits. That is part of the picture. It matters, but it's also that environment that matters too.
Yeah.
There's the fee broker, the old-fashioned, where you don't have the fees and then you have to pay a little fee for your E&O insurance and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But then there's also, profit share and stock. How much does that really matter?
To most agents, not a ton.
Right.
Yeah. It's about who you're with. I mean, we can really boil it down. The old-fashioned model is going to do things the old-fashioned way. That's who's attracted to that model.
And look at the leadership and their thought process on how they plan to move their brokerage forward. I would even ask the recruiters and the brokers at that office, it's like, what's your plan for the next 5 years? Like, what are you guys doing as a company
Yeah.
to take agents to the next level?
Yeah.
And I bet the old-fashioned models who are kind of stuck in their ways might not have a good answer for that.
I would agree. And really, I think this business attracts two types of people. It's going to attract people that love homes, like I just love homes, I just love people. And I think there's a place for that. And like, there's clients that need that agent. But I think a vast majority of us get into this because we want to own a business and we don't want to work for someone else and we want to see what we can build. And like, if you're that way, there's no way an old-fashioned model makes sense for you.
Yeah.
Just doesn't.
Yeah, you need the comfort of having that home base, that corporate structure. I feel like I work somewhere.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And like, if you're entrepreneurial, I want to be at the most entrepreneurial brokerage I can find, because like, how are we going to be in line if I'm saying I want to be here and they're staying down here?
So go with me for a second, because it is scary, right? If you do look up, if you take the time to look up and you're like, man, I feel like I'm at the wrong place.
Yeah.
You have this.
I did that.
Yeah. You have this dissonance between, well, I don't hate this place.
Mm-hmm.
I like the people here.
Exactly.
But then you're like, okay, I got to make a decision. What kind of feelings are you having in that moment?
All right. Number one, it's like having to break up with somebody. It sucks.
Somebody you don't hate.
Yeah, you're like, hey, it's not you, it's me. Like, it all feels wrong. So most people avoid pain. You know what? I like it. I'm fine. It's not. So we don't do anything because we don't want to hurt feelings. We don't, whatever. But once you do it because you know what's best for you, and more importantly, you know what's best for your freaking family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't put freaking feelings ahead of your family. And I can say for me, my family has a lot of extra money because I had the balls to make a change. Like, that's my daughter going to college and not having to worry about it. Like, you've got to change how you look at it.
On that same note, we're talking about finances here and like making a decision on brokerage based off of like, I could go to a different broker and make more money, but it's what the money can do. Like for me, when I made the decision is, I had 2 kids young at home, and I'm like, I find myself working 80 hours a week, just grinding, and then I looked up and I'm like, if I could move over here and if I could make the same amount of money doing 33% less work, I could spend more time doing the things that I care about the most. I could slow down and breathe a little bit. And I bet there's a lot of agents who are just grinding. They don't. It's not that they love selling houses. It's that they don't know how to stop and keep their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the troublesome thing too, is because if you're a creature of habit and you're just grinding, I bet a lot of agents haven't looked up and said, why am I doing this? What makes me happy? They don't know what makes them happy anymore. They just know that they're a real estate selling machine and they're very successful at that. But that's not what people are going to talk about at your funeral.
Oh, you've got it. And the other piece, like you golf.
Yeah.
Go try to swing a driver 50%. See how weird. Like, you do things your best. Like, that's like if you're somebody who likes to win, like, it's very hard to do things halfway. So like when people are like, well, you need more balance. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
You're like, this is how I do things. Right. And until you realize like, well, yeah, you're 80% over here, but that 20% that you care about more, you're not giving anything to.
Yeah.
Like, once you realize my priorities are completely out of whack, it's not a judgment. I was here, and I remember when my daughter said to me, I wish I was a client.
Oh, yeah.
That'll smoke you.
Yeah.
Right?
I wish I was a client so you spend more time
3
with me.
years old. I wish I was a client. Stings my soul to this day. And I remember. I don't want to ever forget it, because that for me was like, dude, you got to figure out a better way to do this. So I started talking to people that were doing it better than me and looked happier than me.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? There's a better way to do it. But I had to have the right people to ask, and thank God those people were at eXp.
Right. And, there's a lot of, the fanboy and fangirl stuff that happens. Like you'll have an agent that goes in lab coat agents, which I love, by the way. It's a great community of real estate agents at all brokerages. Go in lab coat agents and say, I'm thinking about moving from this brokerage. Don't ask anybody else what their opinion is. They don't know you. They don't know your background. You're thinking about moving from eXp to Remax or Remax to eXp or Keller Williams. It doesn't matter what other people think. Have you evaluated it yourself? Don't ask, what do you guys think about this move to this brokerage? Think about, can I accomplish what I want to accomplish better? Can I make more money with less time, or can I be more excited about my business here? And sometimes a brokerage change, just the change of brokerage, gets you excited enough to build some energy and some momentum about your own brand, changing things up a little bit. That shiny new comes back.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're in a funk, I'm not saying that everybody needs to switch brokerages. It's a tough conversation to have. It's a tough thought process to go through because it is change. But if you did it, would you get that new feeling back? Back to the honeymoon on real estate, building something.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people forget is they start just selling houses and they forget that they're building something.
And this isn't just for like Kevin Hildebrand, who's a big agent in Cincinnati market, does, I don't know, 80 million a year, has a team, but he was with Remax, then Comey, who's a local Cincinnati agent, brokerage for 30 something years. And I went to lunch with him recently and I was like, what motivated the change? He was like, I needed something, man. And I don't think it takes 35 years to feel that I need something to like get excited about, right? Yeah. It's not get the listing. Like
what do you think it was? Because I know Kevin does a ton of business, and it was a surprise to a lot of people because he had kind of been in that lane for a long time at his brokerage. What was it that got him to look up and realize that he needed that something?
Yeah, so I asked these questions. Number one thing to know about Kevin, like he is a creature of habit. Like I can tell you where he's eating lunch. I can tell you what time. Kind of creature of habit, right?
Predictable.
Absolutely. But what happened was he had a meeting with an agent up in Dayton named Andrew Gaydosh, who's very similar team size. They're killers.
Yeah.
And Kevin went up there almost as a favor, and he said they sat down for a couple hours. On the way driving back, he's like, we're making the move. I mean, this was not like me that took 9 months.
Yeah.
It was like something in him knew, like, I get to build, I get to do something new, I get a new challenge, and that was everything to him.
Yeah.
It wasn't about money, like it really wasn't. It was like change.
Things had gotten stale.
Yeah.
He saw an opportunity to build something fun, something bigger.
Yeah.
And that just kind of re-sparked him back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're with eXp, find the Kevin Hildebrand in your market that's not at eXp yet, and have the meeting, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just begging somebody to say, like, give me what I need.
They don't know what they need, but when it hits them, it makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're grateful that you had the conversation.
Well, and I know he told a friend of ours, Monica, he said, I'm mad at you. And she said, why are you mad at me? He's like, you didn't tell me about this sooner. And again, TJ and I, we're not tied to anybody switching brokerages or changing anything up. We're just talking about the process of brokerage and agent relationships.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but the thing is like, if you're in this stale rut, you've been doing the same thing, eating the same turkey sandwich, and you're just like everything's gray, just going through the motions, and like you've got a successful business, but you kind of lost that energy, lost that spark. It's like, I'd take an evaluation. Hey, who are some agents that I've worked with at different brokerages that I really loved working with?
Yeah.
And hey, do you like it over there? What do you like the best? Like, just ask questions. You're a business owner. If I own a sandwich shop and I'm Bob's Sandwiches, could I have more fun changing my sandwich shop to a different flair, something that does something a little bit different, and I'm still selling sandwiches. It's what I love to do. But could I have more fun doing something else?
You're still you. Your brand is still the same.
Yeah.
And if your brand isn't you, you really need to look around because that's scary. The other thing like that I hope for agents is, brokerage, that's a piece of the puzzle. But really, at the end of the day, what I want for every agent, make as much money as you want to and in the least amount of time and have as much happiness as you can.
Yep.
If there's a place where you can increase any one of those by 5%, you're leaving happiness on the table. We live one time, dude.
Yep.
One time. and it's not very long.
Yeah, and it's just, you see so many people just stay in their lane and they get to the end of their career. I'm like, man, if they were missing one little piece, that one little thing.
I wish I would have.
Right, or maybe it's that one person at the other brokerage that can kind of like show them the way,
Yeah.
or whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we'll leave you with, guys. It's like this: if we're talking about brokerage operations with you and your broker or potential broker, the scariest part isn't the change. The scariest part is that regret of, man, if I had just done that. If I'd looked up and just took the time to act like a business owner.
Yeah.
So.
And the last piece that I would say is there's nothing that is done that can't be undone in business. Okay? If you're somebody that's just like, oh, I don't want to mess up, like, have the balls to take the jump. If the water's too cold, you can always get out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I think that's super awesome advice, because you can change brokerages anytime you want to. You are choosing a business partner, and it's got to be the right decision. And hey, you jump in, you got sold a bill of goods at another brokerage. It's like, that wasn't for me. At least I tried it out. Now I know.
You've got it.
So thanks for watching. Check out more tips on being a better agent, learning tech, and everything you can from Real Estate Momentum.